And Jackie Surtani, a regional director, Asian Development Bank Singapore office, joins us right here in our studio this morning. Good to have you on, Jackie. Let's talk about this huge financing gap in Asia and globally. So conservative estimates amount to as much as $5 trillion annually to achieve net zero emissions. That would require quite a dramatic increase in mobilizing the private sector capital. So how can we scale up financing, improve the flow of financing?
Well, Liz, good morning, and thank you for, first of all, having me here. I've been in Singapore now for 2 months. I'm from the Asian Development Bank, which is headquartered in Manila, but it's just a pleasure to be here in Singapore. I mean, the challenge, as you mentioned, is great. Again, first to recap, more than 50% of the global emissions of the world come from Asia and the Pacific. So tackling climate change is critical, and it needs to be done today. You need all actors. You need both the public sector and you need increasing private sector investment. And again, this is why I'm actually thrilled to be here in Singapore, because to me, Singapore is really the ecosystem for Asia. You have commercial banks here, you have the multilaterals here, and a lot of big energy companies have decided to headquarter here in Singapore. So being with your clients here, understanding what the needs are here in Asia are critical. So it's a big problem, and we need to all find innovative ways to tackle the crisis.
You say you need all actors on board, to tackle this crisis. How has Singapore fared, you think, compared to its peers in the Asia region in terms of getting that financing, its efforts in financing efforts, of course, and getting those flows in?
Yeah, no, I think, Liz, great question. I think, again, one of the things that's really impressed me is all the various government ministries here, both the Ministry of Finance and MAS are very, very driven that this problem of where you have something like 90% of the world's coal-fired power plants that have an asset life of more than 20 years are here in Asia. So this is an issue that not only Singapore, but all of Southeast Asia needs to partner up and tackle. And I think, again, the initiative is very, very clear, both from the government and private sector actors, to take that forward.
Yeah, so talking about private and public sector actors, these large green energy infrastructure usually comes from the public domain, but we also have to get the private domain involved. How can we do so?
Well, again, Liz, I've been doing this now for over 30 years, and I think again the situation is you need everybody to come together. The issue is not only capital; the issue is to create what I call bankable deals, and that means creating a strong regulatory environment in a lot of these countries. Making sure that there's consistent policies, and really encouraging private sector investment. I always say the first transaction in a country is very challenging, but the second and the third are much more easier to do. So it's to build up a consistent track record. And we're seeing some, really great examples of that. 3 years ago, Vietnam had very little renewable energy. The ADB has done 6 private sector renewable energy deals in Vietnam. And now commercial banks and other actors are looking at Vietnam as got a strong potential for renewable energy. So it's just building up that track record is critical.
Well, Asia can't afford inaction on climate debt, climate change, and yet economies on the front line of climate change, they are also vulnerable to these unsustainable public debt. And yet most climate financing available is in the form of debt. So it is quite a conundrum there.
Yeah, I think you need both, right? I think, again, the issue is there is also plenty of equity. There's also a lot of capital. I think for investors coming into Asia is that they want to be attracted by stable returns. And it's creating that ecosystem, that environment to attract that. I don't think there is any issue in terms of attracting both suitable equity. There are a lot of, again, Singapore is fantastic. A lot of the big private equity firms are headquartered here in Singapore. And they are looking for places to invest and deploy their money in. The issue is, again, to find the attractive investments. Again, capital goes everywhere. It's where, does the United States offer better returns? Does Europe offer better returns? It's creating that environment here in Asia to bring people here and say, look, this is still with the growth potential you have here in Asia, this is still a very attractive place to invest in.
Well, Jackie, it's really good to have you on and sharing your insights.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to a very exciting time in Singapore. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Well, that is Jackie Surtani there, a Regional Director at Singapore Asian Development Bank.